Thank you for joining us at XM.com. This is an earnings report. I'm Christina Marujos. With me today is lead investment analyst Raf Boyadjian. Rafi, the Q1 earnings season is in full swing, and this week, tech behemoths Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, Apple, and Amazon are reporting their earnings. Given, though, that tech stocks in general have taken a hit by Fed tightening, what are we likely to see in their earnings reports, and what impact might they have on the broader equity market?
Well, Christina, we've already seen from the companies that have reported, some have disappointed. Overall, though, we are getting earnings. About 80% of companies that have reported did report slightly better than expected earnings results. But of course, it is going to be a tough year-on-year comparison for the tech companies because they had such a strong year last year. And now we're seeing all these headwinds. A lot of them will be impacted from loss of the Russian market. Of course, have a high inflation. We're seeing many companies struggling with rising costs, rising raw material prices. We have ongoing supply disruptions, and they're likely going to get worse in the short to medium term because of the lockdowns in China, and we've got the prospect of slowing economic growth, but nevertheless we might see some positive surprises from the big tech, and of course there's going to be a lot of focus as well on the guidance for the current quarter.
And speaking of big tech, let's have a closer look at them now, because we got Microsoft and Alphabet coming up right after Tuesday's closing bell on Wall Street.
That is right, and Microsoft will be interesting because it's one of the few big tech that will report year-on-year growth, both in earnings per share and in revenue as well. Now, Microsoft has had a very strong run in terms of its earnings releases of the last year or two. It's expected to continue seeing strong sales in its cloud and software segment. Investors will be keen to see whether the growth in its cloud business is keeping up, but there's also going to be focus on its other services such as Xbox, to see how well its gaming content, how much revenue its gaming content is generating. And Microsoft, of course, did recently acquire Activision Blizzard, so it's trying to strengthen its foothold in the gaming industry, and there is a chance that it might face some regulatory scrutiny, its acquisition of Activision. So that's what the company says on that will be watched. Now, moving on to Alphabet, it will likely report slightly lower earnings per share compared to this time last year, but nevertheless, its revenue should see strong growth of at least 20% year-on-year for the first quarter. Now, Alphabet is, of course, the parent of Google, so investors will want to see whether or not Google search continue to generate strong traffic, and this will, of course, is what drives ad revenue. Google also made improvements to its Android OS, so whether or not this contributed to stronger ad revenue as well and also from the Play Store will be another thing that investors will be keeping an eye on. And of course, Google's other services such as YouTube, Google TV, and let's not forget Google's cloud segment. Google have been pushing Google Workspace, so all of these will be what could be driving revenue much more so in the future than ad revenue. And the other thing, though, is that Alphabet does have ongoing regulatory issues, so any update on this will be important. And on Wednesday, we're going to get Facebook. Now, Facebook has been one of the underperformers lately. Its share price is, in fact, down quite a bit. Its year-to-date performance is the worst among the big tech. It's probably going to report a big drop in year-on-year earnings per share, probably down as much as 24%. And it's seeing increased competition from the likes of TikTok, Twitter, and Snap. So whether or not it's managed to maintain users or even grow them in its core divisions such as Facebook and Instagram. That's going to be the highlight as far as Meta Platforms is concerned. If the company was, of course, impacted heavily from Apple's privacy changes, which did impact its ad revenue. But the company is now focusing on Metaverse, so that's why we had that name change, of course. So how much revenue, whether or not it's Oculus VR segment, and it's also its investments in hardware, software, and content, increased content in the metaverse, whether or not they started to become profitable, those will be things to watch.
Of course, Thursday will be equally important because we have Apple and Amazon coming up as well.
So Apple will be the highlight really on Thursday because they still doing pretty well, even though they probably will be impacted more so than the others from the lockdowns in China. So Apple is at risk of suffering significant supply disruptions. So how resilient it's going to be, that's going to be the thing that's going to be key in terms of the market reaction. The company, of course, still has very strong demand for its iPhones, the Apple Mac, and most of its other products, but there is growing focus on its services such as Apple Music, Apple TV, and how much growth we're going to see in this segment is going to be interesting, whether or not it's able to keep up strong revenue in that growing segment, because of course we might eventually see, well, the market for iPhones and so on is a little bit more saturated. So that's going to be the highlight as far as Apple is concerned. Now Amazon, on the other hand, hasn't been doing as well, and it will probably report a big drop in earnings per share for the quarter. Revenue, though, should still keep going, but its margins are kind of struggling a bit. It could also be impacted from the lockdowns in China, but a strong point in Amazon has been these Amazon Web Services, its cloud segment, and whether or not it was able to maintain strong growth in that unit, and also it's been trying to make some efficiency improvements, so whether or not those will start to pay off, and also how many subscribers it had or it managed to gain for its services such as Amazon Prime and Amazon Prime Video. So all of that will of course impact the market response.
Rafi, thank you very much for joining me today, and thank you for watching this earnings video here at xm.com.